Hi, this is Adam Cogan, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about SQL Deploy today. SQL Deploy out of the box gives you a UI essentially for running a SQL script. So you give the customer some SQL files or a directory, and this alleviates the need to run OSQL. So I could come in here and I could type Northwind as a project name, and then it will override an existing one, and I can tell it to go ahead and create a new database and then run some SQL scripts, or I could pick it on an existing database and then choose the right database and then go ahead and choose to run those SQL files, all without needing to go to a command prompt, and that's essentially quite a nice UI. But where it comes into its own is when you embed the controls in another application. So this might be a better way of seeing it. Now, this isn't SQL Deploy itself, but this is something called Link Auditor. But Link Auditor is a tool which is one of the many tools that actually use SQL Deploy inside it. And with SQL Auditor, it won't work until it has somewhere to store the thousands of links that it's going to log. So we'll click Next. You can click some sample site. You can choose some location. I'll just choose a test location, and this has got just a sample site here. And you choose a few of the parameters here. We go Next. We choose which bits we want in the wizard for it to scan, and do we want it to go off and check Google PageRank and other things. But the interesting thing is when it comes to here and it says, hello, this is the first time you've run this. What we need to do is we need you to give us a place to store all the data. And that can be on SQL Server or SQL Express. You press Configure, and essentially what happens here is we've got a couple of places. It needs to know where the server is. So we'll click Select, and what this gives us is an easy way to go ahead and create a database. So I'll go ahead and choose a server where I want it to be located. I will then press Create, and the application itself knows what to do. It will go off and run the SQL files. So no longer do we have a person being given instructions on what to do to set up their database. The application is the thing that takes care of it. And so you can see that was successfully run, and it tells you the backend is up to date. The version in the backend is 62. The scripts that we're up to is 62. Everything's good. So this part is the SQL Deploy DLL or control that you put in your app, and now it's good to go, and now we can continue on working. Let's just say that later on we install a new version of Link Auditor. What it would do is it would say, hey, I've got a new version. Do you want to run it or not? And what you would do is you'd get this UI, and this button here, Upgrade, would be the only button enabled. And you'd click that and you'd run from, say, 62 to 64. And you'd have to run those two new scripts that have been run. So again, there is nothing for the administrator to do because the application works out what version it's up to. So finally, what about the problem where you're giving support and you're just not sure if anyone's been stuffing around with that database? Well, you can click on Configure, and there is a button here that says Reconcile. And Reconcile is essentially a compare of the current one with what it should be. So it goes ahead and creates another database, runs all the scripts, and then does a compare telling you everything's okay. So this is kind of like a SQL comparer built in, but this will always tell you that everything's good unless someone has been manually modifying with the database and not using SQL Deploy. So it's going ahead, running all the scripts that are necessary. Then it will script out both databases, do a compare, and then open up a UI if there's any differences. Okay, so we're done. And that is the process telling us everything's good, so we know the schema is good. We would say the scripts and the database reconcile, so we're all good to go. So hopefully now you can see the power of putting SQL Deploy in your application. A couple of DLLs means that you never have to worry about database schema again. Thank you.